Okay, so as musicians, we all know the drill, right? We put our heart and soul into our music. But when it comes to the financial side of things, um, are we really getting what we deserve?
Yeah, it's really interesting how the music industry has been totally reshaped by these streaming platforms.
Totally. I mean, think about Spotify, Apple Music, all those guys.
Right.
They've revolutionized how we listen to music, but for the artists themselves.
Yeah.
It's a different story when it comes to getting paid.
It is.
Today, we're going to take a deep dive into this whole world of music streaming and look at how you can make sure you're actually earning what you should be for all that creative work.
Yeah, this is a big one, I think, because streaming, it's completely changed the game on how we consume music.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the way artists get paid hasn't really caught up with that change.
Right. It's like this weird disconnect between how much money these platforms are making
Exactly.
and what's actually trickling down to the artists.
Absolutely.
And we're talking billions of dollars for these companies. But when you look at the per stream payouts for musicians, it's pretty shocking how small those numbers are.
Yeah, you would think, with all that revenue flowing, that it would translate into something more substantial for the artist.
You'd think, right.
Like fractions of a penny we're talking about here.
Yeah, for example, on Spotify, a single stream could earn you what? Something between 0.0003 and $0.0005.
Right, and it can dip even lower on platforms like YouTube Music. Like we're talking 0.00008
Wow.
to $0.0002 per stream. And even on the higher end,
Yeah.
Apple Music, it's still just between $0.007 and $0.01.
Right.
And Amazon Music falls somewhere in the middle there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, it really highlights this huge imbalance between what these platforms are raking in and what the artists are actually receiving.
Yeah, you got to wonder, why is there such a big gap?
Exactly, like what's going on behind the scenes.
There's a lot of moving parts. Actually, it's not as straightforward as you might think. It's not like they just take all the money the platform makes and divide it equally by all the streams.
Yeah.
There's this whole complicated system of revenue sharing and prorated payouts.
Prorated payouts, okay.
It's kind of like, imagine there's this huge pie that represents all the money the platform makes from subscriptions and ads and everything.
Okay, I'm picturing the pie.
So they slice up this pie, and obviously a big chunk goes to the platform itself.
Of course.
And then there's another portion that's supposed to go to the artists.
Right.
But here's the catch: your slice of that artist portion depends on how many streams your music gets compared to every other song in the entire platform.
So basically, if your track isn't a mega hit with millions and millions of streams, you're getting a teeny tiny sliver of an already pretty small pie.
Exactly. And then to make things even more complicated, you've got to factor in the record labels and distributors. They often take their cut before the artist even sees a dime.
Right. So even if you're independent and using a distributor like DistroKid or TuneCore, there are still fees and stuff that are eating away at your earnings.
Yeah, absolutely. Every step of the way, there's somebody taking a little piece.
It's like a maze, right?
It really is. And for independent artists especially,
Yeah.
those who are just starting out,
Yeah.
it can feel really overwhelming.
To make even just $1,000 on Spotify, you'd need something like 250,000 to 330,000 streams.
Yeah, that's a lot of streams.
That's a lot. It makes you wonder, if streaming isn't the answer, then what is?
Right.
What can artists do to actually see a decent return on their music?
Well, there's this growing movement that's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's about cutting out the middleman altogether and selling your music directly to your fans.
Now that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Let's explore that further. Selling directly to your fans, huh? That sounds pretty cool, actually. I mean, it's all about cutting out the middleman, right?
Exactly. It's about forging a more direct connection with the people who actually listen to and appreciate your music.
Yeah, and giving them a way to support you without all those extra layers.
Right? And think about it. When you sell your music directly, you get to set your own prices.
Okay.
You keep a way bigger chunk of the profits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you have control over your fan data. Who's buying your music, where they are, all that stuff.
That's huge, especially for independent artists who are trying to build their careers.
Totally. It's a way more sustainable model in the long run.
So how does an artist actually go about selling directly? What are some of the ways they can do that?
Well, there are a few different approaches. Some artists go the DIY route and build their own websites with integrated stores and stuff.
So they have complete control over everything.
Exactly. The look, the feel, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Others prefer to use platforms that are specifically designed for musicians.
Okay.
There are quite a few out there. each with its own pros and cons.
Makes sense.
Like, for example, Bandcamp has become pretty popular with independent artists.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
They do take a small commission on sales, but they provide a really user-friendly platform.
Okay.
With all these built-in tools for promoting your music and stuff.
So there are definitely options out there for artists with different levels of like tech skills and budgets.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about a platform like themusiccombine.com? Where does that fit into all of this?
Themusiccombine.com. That's an interesting one. It's definitely gaining some traction, and it seems like they're really focused on supporting independent artists.
Okay, I'm listening.
One of the things that makes them stand out is that they don't take any commission on sales at all.
Really? So the artists keep like 100% of the revenue?
Yep, 100%. It goes straight into their pockets.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet deal for musicians.
And they let artists sell more than just music, right?
Right. They've got tools for selling merchandise and event tickets too.
So it's like a one-stop shop for fans.
Exactly. They can get everything in one place, which is super convenient.
Yeah, I can see how that would appeal to a lot of artists. I mean, having those multiple income streams.
Yeah, it's all with diversification, right?
And it's got to be great for fan engagement, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, like, imagine being able to release a new album and then offer, like, a limited edition T-shirt.
Right, or a special vinyl pressing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff that fans can only get through your platform.
That creates a sense of community.
It does.
And it gives fans the chance to really, like, connect with your music.
On a deeper level, for sure.
Okay, so we've talked about the idea of selling directly, and we've looked at some of the platforms that make that possible.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get down to, like, the nitty-gritty here. Can you give us a sense of how much more an artist could actually make by selling directly compared to relying on those streaming payouts?
Absolutely. So let's say you sell a song for $1 on themusiccombine.com.
Right.
To earn that same dollar on Spotify,
Okay.
you'd need somewhere between 200 and 330 streams.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It is. And when you multiply that across a whole album, the difference becomes even more significant.
I bet.
Let's say you have a 10-song album and you're selling it for $10 on themusiccombine.com. If you sell just 1,000 copies, you've made $10,000.
Wow.
Now, to make that same amount from streaming, you'd need millions and millions of streams.
Yeah, we talked about how hard that is for most independent artists to achieve.
Exactly. It's a whole different ballgame.
It really puts things into perspective when you look at the numbers side by side.
It does.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we're not even factoring in the potential for merchandise and ticket sales here.
Sure.
When you add those into the mix, the earning potential for direct sales goes up even more.
It's like a whole new world of possibilities that opening up.
Yeah, it is. And it's exciting to see platforms like themusiccombine.com emerging and really putting the power back in the hands of the creators.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into this whole world of streaming versus direct sales, what are some of the key takeaways that our listeners should keep in mind? It feels like we've learned so much today,
Okay.
you know, like really uncovered some new ways of thinking about the music industry.
Yeah, for sure.
So for you, what's the biggest takeaway from all of this? What should artists really be focusing on?
I think the most important thing is for musicians to understand that they actually have a lot more options than they might realize.
Okay.
You know, streaming, it can be a good way to get your music out there and get discovered.
Yeah.
But if you're only relying on those tiny streaming payouts to make a living,
Right.
it's just not going to cut it for most people.
So it's about taking control,
Right.
right? Building a more direct relationship with your fans and like creating your own path instead of waiting for someone else to hand it to you.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It's about taking ownership of your music career and connecting with your audience in a more meaningful way.
It's easy to get caught up in that whole numbers game, you know?
Yeah.
Like constantly chasing streams and hoping for that one big break that's going to change everything.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that there's another way, a way to build something more sustainable and ultimately more fulfilling.
I think so, for sure. And it starts with recognizing the value of your music and the connection you have with the people who listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. If someone loves your music enough to buy a t-shirt or a vinyl or a ticket to your show,
Yeah.
that's a whole different level of engagement than just passively streaming a song.
That's a really good point. It's about fostering a sense of community
Exactly.
and creating a real connection with the people who appreciate your art.
And platforms like themusiccombine.com, they're just one piece of the puzzle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you decide to build your own website or use a platform like Bandcamp or try out a combination of different approaches,
Right.
the key is to be proactive and take control of your own destiny.
Okay, so let's say I'm a musician and I want to start building that direct connection with my fans. Where do I even begin?
Well, the first step is to shift your mindset a little bit,
Right.
Start thinking about your fans as more than just listeners.
Okay.
They're your community, your supporters, the people who believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Engage with them on social media. Offer exclusive content. Give them a peek behind the scenes of your creative process.
Let them into your world a little bit.
Exactly. Make them feel like they're a part of your journey.
So it's about building a relationship, not just selling a product.
Right. And once you've established that connection, then you can start thinking about different ways to let them support you directly.
Okay.
Offer pre-orders for your albums, exclusive merchandise bundles, early access to tickets for your shows. Get creative and think outside the box.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
For anyone listening who wants to learn more about themusiccombine.com or explore other direct sales options, we'll put some links in the show notes.
It's really an exciting time to be an independent musician. There's so many opportunities out there to connect with fans and build a sustainable career.
And do it on your own terms.
Exactly.
That's a great message to end on, I think.
Yeah.
Keep creating amazing music, everyone. And don't forget to explore all the options that are out there for you. Until next time, keep diving deep.